Chapter 5, 105, Star Thought Gu, Translator, Chibi General Editor, Chibi General. We did not succeed after all. Dongfang Yuliang looked at the rain outside the window with his arms behind his back, sighing. This shark fin wolf was captured from the wild intentionally. He paid a hefty price. After that, he made some secret markings on the shark fin wolf, and as he was afraid of his enemy finding out, he purposely chose a rank 5 soul explosion goo and planted it inside the shark fin wolf. Finally, he sent an assassin in the demonic path who was famous in Northern Plains, Shadow Sword expert, and gave the corresponding goo needed to activate the soul explosion to her, instructing carefully. This assassination that he planned meticulously, in order to not waste his efforts, he made several simulations until all the flaws and loopholes were removed. Be it the shark fin wolf's body, the location or time it appeared, even the attitude of the goo master who discovered the shark fin wolf was considered by him. But even so, he did not succeed. At the crucial moment, Wolf King Chang Shan Yin found something amiss and ordered someone else to strike. Seeing that the chance was slipping away, Shadow Sword expert had to activate Soul Explosion Goo. The power of Soul Explosion was formless and colorless. It could not be seen with the naked eye. But Chang Shan Yin was able to escape at the first moment and reveal the truth. As he was restricted by Bian Sichuan's attacks, he only managed to get to the furthest range of the soul explosion, but in the moment of crisis, he was extremely calm, using the reinforcements as a shield, and blocked most of the soul explosion's strength. His reputation matches his abilities, as expected of the Wolf King who shook Northern Plains. Dongfang Yulang heard Bian Sichuan's report and raised his evaluation of Fang Yuan. With a mutated beast before him, he managed to control the temptation. With his vigilant nature, he made the correct judgment in the face of danger, and immediately spotted the soul explosion's range, the callousness of using his own alliance mate as a shield, as well as the calmness to not chase after the perpetrator after being assassinated. Wolf King, Dongfang Yulang muttered, his heart becoming heavier. Dongfang Alliance leader does not need to worry. Although Chang Shan Yin used a meat shield at the last moment, he was still obstructed by me and was within range of the soul explosion. Furthermore, he was afflicted by my brain explosion goo. Even if this goo didn't take his life, his battle strength would be greatly affected. We can say that Wolf King is basically crippled now. At a corner of the study room, Bian Sichuan wore black clothes as she stood among the shadow, saying in a cold voice, "Brain explosion goo?" Dongfang Yuliang was stunned. This was the first time he had heard of this goo. Bian Sichuan laughed lightly, explaining to him the origin of this goo. "So that's it." Dongfang Yuliang heard this, and his eyes shone. He sighed as he thanked Bian Sichuan. "It was all thanks to Shadow Sword expert's help this time, but you lost a great trump card in the progress." Bian Sichuan did not speak. Actually, her heart was bleeding too. Ever since she had tested the effects of brain explosion, goo, she had kept it as one of her trump cards. Many of her assassinations succeeded because of it. But when she assassinated Chang Shan Yin, the situation was urgent, and she could not kill Chang Shan Yin on the spot. Thus, she could not retrieve it. When the enemy forces came, she had to retreat to protect herself. This is the reward that you were promised earlier. Dongfang Yuliang took out a goo worm from his aperture. This goo's body was black. It had a horn and square shell. It was fist-sized, but gave people a heavy feeling. This was the rank 4 overlapping shadow goo. Bian Sichuan's gaze landed on overlapping shadow goo, showing some desire and anxious emotion. Although she had multiple sword shadow goo, the attacks were dispersed and she would face a tough battle when fighting against a defensive opponent. If she could have overlapping shadow goo, she could overlap the sword shadows together and form a strong attack. It would be a huge boost to her battle strength. But quickly, Bian Sichuan retracted her gaze, not taking the overlapping shadow goo. In the shadows, her cold voice could be heard carrying some arrogance. "This overlapping shadow goo will be kept by Alliance leader for now. After the Wolf King dies, I will come and take it." Saying so, she fused into the shadows, vanishing. Dongfang Yuliang was slightly stunned. He kept the overlapping shadow goo back into his aperture. This shadow sword expert is truly a person of her word. No wonder she can gain such success among the large tribes despite being a demonic path. Goo cultivator, many righteous path goo masters would spend a heavy sum to hire her. It seems that she is very confident in brain explosion goo. If this can really get rid of Wolf King, then I will have one less threat to worry about. That is the best case. But what if she fails? What if brain explosion goo was successfully resolved by Chang Shan-yin? At the crucial moment, he had chosen to deal with the soul explosion goo and instead allowed the brain explosion goo to enter his ear. That shows he had some confidence and countermeasure for this problem. Dongfang Yuliang's gaze dimmed. But Wolf King was indeed affected by the soul explosion. There are more variables now. I have to make new deductions. Thinking of this, he moved beside the bookshelf and turned the incense holder, opening up a secret tunnel. Walking in the secret tunnel, he came to a deep area. Here, he had planted an earth bacteria king goo. This goo was a type of goo house. The space was cramped inside, but it was enough for a person to cultivate. Most importantly, the earth bacteria king goo had strong defense. It could ensure Dongfang Yuliang's safety. After he entered the goo house, Dongfang Yuliang closed the exit. The entire earth bacteria king goo curled into a ball and went further down by a few meters before stopping. The earth bacteria king goo's internal walls were soft and thick, like a carpet. Dongfang Yuliang sat down and closed his eyes. His mind entered his aperture, activating his rank 5 primeval essence and injected it into his star thought goo. He started to think, if Wolf King manages to deal with brain explosion, how do I deal with him? The moment this question emerged in his mind, under the effect of star thought goo, it formed into a thought. Ordinary thoughts were formless and without matter. It could exist in the brain. But this thought gave off a blue starlight. Not only could it be seen with the naked eye, it could also leave his brain and head, flying above Dongfang Yuliang. Dongfang Yuliang quickly thought, to deal with an enslavement path goo master, there are 3 ways. The first is the supreme method, pitting enslavement path master against enslavement path master. The second thought, shining with starlight, flew out of Dongfang Yuliang's brain, flying together with the first star thought. The second is the domination method, using the beheading leader tactic, charging forward and taking his life from within the army of defense. The third star thought spun around the first star thought as well. This third is the peculiar method, assassinating Chang Shan-yin, using bribes or kinship against him. The fourth star thought flew out as well, coiling together with the previous thoughts and collided at times. But no matter how they clashed, the 4 thoughts remained as 4. There were no changes. Soon after, Dongfang Yuliang recalled, our side's military force, the enemy's military force, both sides' rations, Chang Shan-yin's personality and motive, all of our expert goo masters' information, all of the enemy's expert goo masters' information, the recent weather prediction and changes, the terrain of the battlefield, how many mounds, lakes, how many beast groups nearby, whether any forces will intervene. Poof. In an instant, thousands of star thoughts formed at once, gushing out of his brain towards Dongfang Yuliang's head. At once, starlight was shining brightly. Would Dongfang Yuliang's expression paled as his primeval sea level fell drastically. Oh, he manipulated these star thoughts proficiently. Orbs of star thoughts, big and small. The biggest were toe-sized, while the smallest were thumb-sized. Within this crowded space, these star thoughts collided with each other. Some star thoughts collided and formed into 3 or 4, even 5 or 6 new star thoughts. Some fused instead, while others split themselves into smaller orbs. Hundreds and thousands of thoughts filled the air. They were densely packed, circulating around Dongfang Yuliang. Now, the primeval sea level continued to fall. Dongfang Yuliang's mind was completely focused, manipulating these star thoughts to fuse and collide, or split into new ones. Due to his hard work, or through the help of his other wisdom path, goo worms, the star thoughts continued to decrease in number. After 4 hours, from the hundreds and thousands of star thoughts, only 8 were left. But these 8 star thoughts were fist-sized, shining with starlight as they contained a complicated thought. As these star thoughts entered Dongfang Yuliang's brain, his eyes shone with the light of wisdom. He had successfully deduced several methods to deal with Wolf King. These methods were organized and clear, with proper steps to be taken. If it was a normal person, they would have to think for a month or two to clear out these thoughts. In fact, it would be difficult to get the solution from among these messy thoughts. But using his wisdom path method, Dongfang Yuliang spent only 4 hours and got his answer. But these answers were not the only ones. Taking out primeval stones to recover his primeval essence, Dongfang Yuliang rested for a while before starting to analyze the same question again. This time, he only spent an hour and obtained 7 star thoughts. The star thoughts entered his brain, and he got some answers after reading them. These answers were very similar to the ones before, but there were minute details that were different. Dongfang Yuliang breathed a sigh of relief, finally stopping. After a while, he relied on his primeval stones to recover his primeval essence back to its peak condition. But in the depths of his soul, there was a strong sense of fatigue circulating around him. He could not get rid of it. The deductions of Wisdom Path not only expended primeval essence when activating goo worms, it also expended the soul's energy. The more deductions made, or the grander the scale of the thoughts, the longer the deduction would take, and the greater the burden on the soul. Feeling a sense of weakness was normal. If the difficulty of the deduction was higher, the soul might get damaged, or he might even die. Of course, as a rank 5 Wisdom Path Goo Master, Dongfang Yuliang, who had received guidance from a Goo Immortal, naturally had a complete set of goo worms. Rank 4, Refined Essence Spirit Goo. Dongfang Yuliang's body became thinner immediately, as the vitality in his body was converted by the Refined Essence Spirit Goo into resources for his soul. The soul was nourished, and his fatigue faded quickly. But a strong sense of hunger soon assaulted him. Dongfang Yuliang rubbed his tummy, laughing bitterly in his heart. Refined Essence Spirit Goo, a secretly passed down goo in my Dongfang tribe. It can heal the soul well, but it does not treat the core of the issue. Soul Path and Wisdom Path are closely related. If I can get the legendary Guts Goo, I would be able to make deductions as I wish. Even if my soul gets damaged, I can easily heal it. What a pity that Guts Goo can only be found on Donghun Mountain.